Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is a rather late pre-market PulseWave report that I normally do on Sundays, but as you know, it was my birthday weekend, so I did not record any videos. But we're still going to take a quick look at where the market's finished for the week and what we can expect as far as how things are going to go this week. Now, as I record this, as we're doing this, let me just show you what is happening for those that are unaware. Let's pull up the quotes. All right, so Bitcoin right now is down 55. This is the Bitcoin futures. We're at 19,370. Ethereum is down 14 and a half at 1,317 and 50 cents. Crude oil was up as much as $4 earlier. It's now up $3.16 at $82.64 a barrel. So it rallied off of the overnight lows. And we do have a bullish 2-bar Charlie on this one as well. So not, surprised that the market would break out and rally the way that it's doing with that 2-bar Charlie helping things out this morning. Next up, we have gold. Now, this is very impressive. So gold briefly breached the 1,700 mark. It hit $1,703.20, but has since pulled back to $1,699.04. So having a tough time staying above 1,700, as we had spoken about in previous videos. It seems to be a tough one. But the most impressive is not gold being up in the 20s today. No, the story is silver up $1.47 at $20.51 an ounce. And this is the Christmas silver, the December contract. It hit a high of $20.58 and it's at $20.51 now. So just, a tick pulling back from the highs. Now, it started at $18.98 on the open. The Dow is up 616 points. And in the overnight, it was as low as 28,638 before rallying to 29,484. All right, so you got like an 800-point run off the low point in the overnight market happening in the day session. The S&P is up 70 points at 3671.5, and it has rallied exactly 100 points off its low of 3571 in the overnight market. The Nasdaq is at 180 points to 11,215.5, coming off of the overnight low of 10,890.5. So 400-point move, almost a 400-point move off of its lows. The Russell is up 35 points at 1704.6. The overnight low was 1656.70. So you have a 50-point run off the lows in the Russell. So it is looking like the PPT is coming to the rescue. Like I said, it's been interesting. The US dollar is down 28 pips at 111.82. Overnight high was 112.54. Overnight low is 111.47. So the dollar being down, you can make an argument, is helping the market a little bit. Bonds are up a full 2 percentage points plus 16.30 seconds at 128.20 and 29.30 seconds. So explosive move there in bonds today as well. So everything seems to be rallying today. Oil up. Stock market up, bonds up, everything's up, gold, silver up. The question is, though, are we going to get a turnaround Tuesday? And just how long can they keep this up, especially in the face of horrific economic news and data coming out? So we got to look at that. All right, let's switch our focus and see how we ended the week so you can get an idea of, is this just noise or something else going on? So the first chart I want to look at is the euro yen, which is our proxy for the S&P 500. You'll notice that the market rallied, all right, into the end of the week, into Friday. But the issue is that you're still in this downtrend channel, and that hasn't really changed. So to start the week off, the bears still have the advantage, and that's what we are going into with the U.S. stock market as well. We came into it under a bearish momentum reading. Now, looking at the Bitcoin futures, you're starting to see those colors, so that's a consolidation. All right, but we were looking to rally to start the week off, and so far there is some strength in the market. Next up, you look at the Ethereum on the future side, and it ended the week showing and giving us a rally alert to start the week off with. Now, being that it's down a little bit, let's see here. Let me just verify where we are right now while I'm doing this. All right, so it's only down 14.5 right now. That's it, down $14 right now. So not giving us any upside production as of yet. But again, it's still early. So who's to say exactly what the market is going to end up doing for us? All right, so this again is the Ethereum part. All right, next up, taking a look at, let's see here, the dollar. I showed you how the dollar was down, not too significant, but nevertheless down. And that's after finishing the week with a new 52-week high and creating a bullish pointer. So even in this slight pullback today, you can see the market setting itself up to actually put in new highs, which I'm not surprised in that either. Not surprised at all. How do we explain what's going on in gold? Well, if you take a look at how the week ended for gold, we ended giving ourselves a rally alert to start the day off in the weekly chart here, even though you just put in a new weekly low. But that's how it finished itself off in an oversold condition. And so that's why the market is rallying. We're getting a technical bounce off the oversold lows. Taking a look at the Russell My Hustle, you can see here that this one finished the week in the red. Bears are still in control of the market despite the rally today. Now, on the weekly, you made a bullish pointer, so that can explain some of the technical bounce off this technical low point. Taking a look next at the Dow, and you can see here that the Dow and S&P has been the weakest in the indexes. And on this one here, you can see that you finished with the new weekly low, and the advantage still goes to the bears regardless. So remember, in bear markets, rallies can be powerful, and it can scare people out of their short positions easily. Taking a look at oil. All right, so if you look at oil, it finished the week giving us a rally alert, and it showed that it was a breakout candidate. Well, if you look at the overnight data that we just went over a few minutes ago, with the overnight high of $84.57 and the overnight low of $80.70, well, currently the market's at $82.22. So you could make an argument here that this market is trying to do both things, like I was explaining when you look at the report that went out over the weekend. So we're not surprised at what we're seeing, is basically what it boils down to. We're not surprised. So yeah, we expected that to happen. All right, next up we have silver. Is there anything that can explain the bounce in silver? Well, we expected it. We had a rally alert on the weekly coming into today on the silver. So silver is doing what we expected it to do. It's still in a longer term consolidation, and the bar is from the week in July, the 29th, and it's for the most part staying within this range. All right, and this is on SLV. And today you can see the market is well within testing the higher end of this range. So where the market closes today will be critical for this market. Next up, we have the S&P 500, which has been the weakest along with the Dow. And you can see how the market finished the week on right at the low end, all right, right near the lows for the week, and hitting a new weekly low with the bears in full command. So today's rally, this technical bounce, I don't think that is sustainable. We'll see where the market closes, but I don't think that'll be sustainable. I see there's a bear market rally setting up for the next leg down. Now, looking at bonds, look at the long bond. We talked about that a little while ago, up over 2 full points today. And this is coming off of a new 52-week low on Friday. So we're getting that technical bounce today in TLT. So I'm not surprised in this one either. Next up is the dollar by way of ticker UUP. We looked at the cash index. Now let's look at the UUP ticker. So it finished the week right near the lows of the session, ladies and gentlemen, and closed at $30.15. Well, the low today was $29.62. So you got a continuation pattern taking out last week's low, but then reversing a bit. And right now you're at $30.07 after hitting $30.21 today, but that's still a bearish situation. And the bears seem to be in control. And this is right after hitting a new 52-week high here as well. So I want to end it with a few things. Lately, I have seen the ramp up of doom and gloom news, wars and rumors of wars. There's more talk about escalation of war. The biggest thing I'm noticing is a trend toward fear. A lot of fear mongering. They want to push us toward their agenda. They're already spitting out what they want the narrative to be, and you don't want to fall into that. Everything that can be known, that is currently known, is already been factored into the price. That is a fact. So you don't have to be afraid about the things that you hear and the things that you see. All right. Always remember that. Everything that can be known is factored into the price. Now, you bring up a good point, Thomas. Thomas says Jim Cramer said Russia wouldn't use nukes in Ukraine, so hold on to your butts. All right, so that is a good point you bring up, and you I was just about to take it there, so I'm glad you beat me to it. All right, so traditionally, anything that Jim Cramer says on his show or during an interview, traditionally, if you did the opposite of that, you could make a nice ton of money. But on this particular statement about nukes, first of all, every time they bring up the word nuke, it has a connotation and a mental, emotional effect on the hearer that, imminent disaster and gloom and oh, how scary. But the truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, there is enough evidence to suggest that there are no nukes and that nukes really don't exist. First piece of evidence was when President Bush said that it was a definite, it was evidence, it was a scientific matter of fact, all right, that there were weapons of mass destruction, meaning nukes, over in Iraq, and that Saddam Hussein had these weapons of mass destruction, these nukes, these nuclear warheads. He said that. He said that the U.S. intelligence agencies had already guaranteed that it is a fact. They had proof, they had evidence that he had them. All right. And when you say the U.S. intelligence network of agencies, you're talking about the NSA, you're talking about the FBI, you're talking about the CIA and the Department of Defense. There was no Department of Homeland Security at the time, but the Department of Defense. Okay. You're talking about all those known agencies as well as unknown agencies. And you're talking about the military apparatus, such as the Navy and the Air Force specifically and particularly. You add all this soup together, all this ingredients into the soup, and you had yourself factuals, actual factuals. And that's all the people needed to hear. And then the next thing you know, we're invading. Well, those weapons of mass destruction were never found. And the reason they were never found is because they don't exist. It is impossible to make that disappear so quickly without being detected. They tried to push that narrative that the nukes were moved prior to the U.S. invasion. And then that was quickly exposed as being a lie. And the truth came out that there were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And the reason why there were no weapons of mass destruction is because they don't exist. The joke was on the American people. Even George Bush laughed in the face of the American people and made a gag and a meme and a joke about it. The president went viral with all sorts of memes. He even laughed and said, well, I'm sure those weapons are there somewhere. Ha, 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 get it. I mean, this footage of the president laughing and joking about it went viral. Everyone heard and saw him laughing about the weapons of mass destruction, laughing at the idea that they used weapons of mass destruction as a pretense for an invasion, and then civilians died, all right, at the hands of the American military. And the response is not sorrow or regret or remorse or sympathy or empathy for all the lives that were destroyed and taken as a result of the lie of the weapons of mass destruction that you said were a certainty according to the intelligence network. This is the reality of the situation. There are no weapons of mass destruction. They do not exist. They have never existed. And I know that military pundits like to point to the Hiroshima and Nagasaki situation, but those were not nukes. That was a firebombing campaign. Think of Vietnam when you think of that. Think of napalm. The place was firebombed, and that's a fact. No nukes. No nukes were used prior to that, and no nukes have been used since that. Now, I know that the media has portrayed the enemies of the state as being psychopathic. And if that was the case, it would be nothing. It would be a small thing for them to release these nukes at all of their enemies, especially the physical locations of the United States and its allies and assets around the world. It has never happened, and it never will happen because they don't exist. But if you keep it in the minds of the American people and you keep telling them that they exist, and you keep showing them manufactured videos and photoshopped images of all the so-called nuclear testings, that's all the people need to see, right? Well, the majority of these videos that you've seen over the years of so-called nuclear explosion testing has been exposed to be an absolute, complete lie. You can do some digging on the internet and you will find it. You won't find it on YouTube, though. But they exist. The footage exists. And they will make sure that the majority of people do not find this information. This is how they rule. They rule through fear. As long as you are afraid that some other rogue nation has these weapons of mass destruction, then guess what? You'll do whatever the government tells you to do. Your hand over, fork over your human rights to the government because of fear. Oh no, they have a nuke. Oh no, they're going to nuke us. Oh no, Putin has threatened to use nukes. Nobody has nukes because they don't exist. And that's just the truth. American people have been lied to about everything. Your reality, your world as you know it, is one big fat lie. They rule through fear. Now, some people are not afraid of the warfare and rumors of war, but they are afraid of losing money. So they'll come out and say they're about to crash the economy. Oh no, all of your investments are going to zero. And you keep hearing them over and over again tell you how Bitcoin is going to zero. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are a fallacy. It's not money. It's not an investment vehicle. It is not a security. It's fool's money. You're better off buying a lottery ticket or going to Las Vegas. That's what they keep telling you over and over again. They have people come on and say, I hate Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not money. And they'll march people out in front of the camera like Buffett and Bill Gates and all types of, elderly men. All right. And they'll say, nope, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are for criminals and it's a joke and it's a gag and you should get out of it. Don't put no money there. But yet, all day long on the business channels of the mainstream media, you see Bitcoin ETFs and Bitcoin stocks being promoted and the NASDAQ QQQ being promoted. And you see them talking about Bitcoin trusts, Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin holdings, mining companies, new this and new that, and metaverse this and metaverse that, while simultaneously telling you it's all nonsense and poppycock. But secretly and in the dark, they're pouring billions of dollars into building out government blockchain technology and everything that goes along with it. Again, they rule through fear. All right. And because they control the mainstream media, so they control the flow of information. As long as they control the flow of information and they control the narrative by making sure you do not hear any condescending voices, that's how they got you. They make sure the only voice that you hear and the only voice that's the loudest is their voice. And anyone who gets out of line or gains too much popularity, they attack, they destroy, they deplatform. And if that doesn't work, then they make sure they come after your livelihood. All right. Like they did with Alex Jones. Then concoct the most wildest chicanery and miscarriage of justice I think I've ever seen in my life, making the man have to pay reparations in the tone of millions of dollars for Sandy Hook, when there was probably the most damning documentary on the subject that I've ever seen. It was put into an ebook. Some of you may have had the privilege of obtaining that ebook on Sandy Hook, full of pictures and testimonies and documents and all types of stuff exposing the media and exposing things about Sandy Hook that you probably never even heard and thought of. And that wasn't even brought or being allowed to be brought into evidence in the court during the trial with Alex Jones. And even if they did, it didn't matter. They still would have found him guilty and used that as a way to shut him down. So if they can't, if the platforming you doesn't work, then they take your money. And the only way to legally take your money is to illegally railroad you in a court of law. And that's what they do. So now he has to pay all these millions of dollars to the so-called victims and families of Sandy Hook, when the evidence that was indicated in the book, in the ebook, was never brought to bear. As a matter of fact, they made sure that it was wiped off the internet. In the beginning, there were people had did videos, documentaries based on the ebook. Those documentaries were taken off the internet and scrubbed from the internet. And then while everyone was sleeping, they changed the internet and they changed your Google searches so that the information that you desperately want and seek and need does not come up. You can't find it. You have to literally know the website address if you want to go to get certain information. But if you're just trying to find information and search, they make sure that that search result never comes up. You will never find it. Even though it may say you got 7 billion results, and it may look like you got 365,000 pages to go through, by the time you finish clicking, you may only get to page 14 before that's it. Where's the rest of the information? I tell you, you've been lied to when it comes to everything. They lied to you about where you live. They've lied to you about space. They've lied to you about the earth. They lied to you about, 9/11, and they lied to you about Syria, and they lied to you about Ukraine. They just keep lying to you about everything. And as a whole, the American people vote the same politicians back into office. Politicians are nothing but mouthpieces for the shadow government that puts them in office. That's why they leave office richer than when they enter into office, because they exempt themselves from all the draconian laws and rules that they come up with to enforce upon the American citizenry. They exempt themselves from such laws. So they tell you you can't fly anymore in an airplane because they're trying to reduce your carbon footprint, yet they get to fly around in private jets. They tell you that we need to get rid of guns and outlaw guns and make guns impossible for the American people to get, yet they walk around with a detailed security apparatus. And yes, their detailed security apparatus is armed. So when they say they want to get rid and do away with guns, they don't mean they want to get rid of guns. They don't mean they want to snap their fingers and make every gun on the face of the earth just vanish in the thin air. No, what they mean to say is we want to take guns away from you. We don't want you to have guns, but it's okay for them to have guns, but not you, the American citizen. They don't want the citizens armed. They want to have all the armament. It doesn't matter about the citizens' training or safety record with firearms or any of that stuff. It's irrelevant. It's because it was never about that. It was never about, well, the average person, all these gun accidents and things like that. No, it was never about that. That was just used as a backdrop, as a story to get people to appeal to their emotions to take these things away. So they show you enough stories of little Bobby getting into the gun cabinet and shooting himself, then that will frighten the average American and not let you keep guns in the house. As a matter of fact, just about every sitcom you can think of or every movie, whenever a gun is produced, especially inside the home, the wife always panics and says, "Oh my goodness, get that thing out of here!" Like the gun is the devil. Like the gun is a demonic force of energy that if you keep it in your house, it's going to haunt and cause paranormal activity to occur in your house. That is the imagery that they have burned into the minds of the people. So when you hear the word gun or see a gun, you panic. Oh, I don't deal with guns. Oh, I don't touch gun. I don't believe in guns. When the gun is supposed to be used as a form of protection for yourself and for others, not just to hunt. All right. The ability to keep and bear arms has nothing to do with hunting. All right. It was put in there to protect you from a tyrannical government. That's why we keep and bear arms. All right. So when they try to make the argument about the type of gun, it doesn't matter. Well, you don't need an M16 to hunt because they're making the issue about hunting. Your right to keep and bear arms has nothing to do with hunting. It's about protecting yourself from a tyrannical government. So yes, you do need an AR-15. Yes, you do need the most highly advanced technology you can get your hands on. All right? You have a right to keep and bear arms. And it's not limited. Arms are arms. That includes cannons, grenades, everything. You have a right to protect your life and property and to protect the innocent lives of others. So even the proponents who talk this foolishness, they don't practice it. Well, I'm nonviolent. I don't believe in violence. I am a pacifist. I will not fight. I will not harm another person. I will not take a life. Okay, so the villain has broken into your home and he is armed with a knife and he's threatening to rape your wife and daughters. You're just going to sit there and just let that happen? Well, I'm not going to hurt him. I'm not going to take his life, but he's trying to take your life and the life of your family. Well, I would just wrestle with them. Really? You see, when you draw things out to their logical conclusions, they don't make any sense. But this is the kind of thinking that the American people have been forced to accept without thinking. They don't want you to think. They don't want thinking, intelligent citizens. They want obedient citizens. There's a difference. All right. There's a difference. So you don't want to allow yourself to get carried away with all the propaganda because that's what it is. It's propaganda. All right. Don't let them tell you the world's coming to an end. All right. Because it's not today. All right. The world is not ending today. And there are no nukes. And there are no aliens that are going to land on your lawn and invade your space. All right. There are no aliens coming to suck your brains. Okay. They don't exist. No matter what they tell you, there is absolutely zero evidence of little green men living in outer space. Period. But because you've been told this over and over again, you start to believe it. Something else is going on, but not what they say is going on. They want to keep the people ignorant. They want you to think that the place where you live is something that it's not. Because if you truly knew where you lived, your eyes would open and you would see clearly. See, they don't want you to know that you live in a supernatural world. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that the earth that you live on is supernatural. They don't want you to know that we are not alone in the quote unquote universe. The reason why we are not alone in the universe has nothing to do with the aliens on the planet Mars. As a matter of fact, there's no evidence to suggest that there are any planets. As a matter of fact, if you really want to be technical about it, if you take a look at the average star or the thing that they say planet, there's no proof that there's a surface. They're luminescent entities up in the sky. And all the sounds that they claim that they're retrieving from deep in outer space, you're not retrieving anything from deep in outer space. You're hearing the singing of the stars as described in the Holy Bible. That's what they're seeing and hearing. Oh, look at these UFOs. Look how fast that thing is moving. It's defying the laws of gravity. Look at that propulsion technology. We don't have anything that can match that type of propulsion system. Look at this. What kind of craft is that? If a human body was in that, the human body would just explode because it can't handle all those G forces and all these other forces. Why all of a sudden are they admitting to UFO phenomenon when for decades they did nothing but deny it? They denied its existence. Now all of a sudden it's okay to say it's real. But what are they telling you about it? Again, it's a certain narrative. The narrative is part of their religion. Scientism is their religion. And in Scientism, they have all types of doctrines that mirror and match the Bible. So when the Bible says that God created the heavens and the earth, their Scientism Bible says in the beginning there was a cube, and then the cube exploded, and we call that the Big Bang. The Bible says God spoke and the universe leapt into existence. Their version of the Scientism Bible says there was a cube, and for whatever reason it exploded, and that's how we got the universe. That's how we got stars and solar systems and galaxies and everything, and it's infinite. Space is infinite, which is also not true. And they'll tell you, well, oh, so people say, okay, so let me get this straight. So here's the constellation. So here's Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, and Neptune, and Venus, and Pluto, and Earth, and Mercury. And they show them as planets. And then they say, and then how come the Earth, according to you guys, is a flat pizza and everything else is round? No one said that that was the correct celestial model. The true model is that the Earth is the center of the galaxy. The Earth is the center of everything. And when you look up into quote unquote outer space beyond the firmament, that's it. We're domed in. That's why they can't leave the Earth. But yet they tell you in chapter 4, verse 12 of the moon doctrine that the reason why man has not been back to the moon is because they lost all their paperwork on how to go back to the moon. So they don't remember how to get to the moon. They don't remember. That's why they can't get back to the moon. That's why they've never left Earth since the quote unquote moon landing. But they lied to you about the moon landing too. You think man landed on the moon because you quote unquote saw it. You did not see it. What you saw was images on your television, but you have no proof that they were on the moon. Just common sense would tell you that you were lied to. If you just take a look at the extent that they have gone through to keep the lie going. And just like the weapons of mass destruction that we know for a fact Saddam Hussein has in Kuwait, well, guess what? They're saying the same thing about your moon landing. All of the so-called documentation has been lost and destroyed, according to them. How convenient. How convenient. All evidence that you went is lost, except for your CGI footage that they released and continue to release incrementally. Oh, look what else we found. Here's another picture. So let me get this straight. You can send Voyager rockets to take pictures of Saturn and Jupiter. You sent a quote unquote rover to roll around on the surface of Mars. You sent up incredible satellites that take spectacular pictures of infinite galaxies and universes throughout with amazing graphic 4K and 10K technology. But you can't go back to the moon because you forgot how. How could you send the rover, though, to Mars, which is further than the moon, and land? Not just the fact that you went to Mars, but that your rover landed good and safe and is able to roll around, take soil samples, and all that other good stuff. But you can't go to the moon, though. So you can fly a rocket to Jupiter and Saturn and Mars and land these things, but you can't do that to the moon, which is like right here. That's like saying I can run the 100-meter and I can do it in 3 seconds flat. No, you can't. Yes, I can. Okay, prove it. Run 50 feet real quick for me. Oh, I can't run 50 feet. Why not? Because my legs don't move that far. But you just said you can run the 100-meter dash in 3 seconds. I can. Well, surely then you can move. You can run 50 feet. Nope, I can't. I can't. I can't do it. I can't run 50 feet. So you can run a longer distance and do so quickly in 3 seconds, but you can't run 50 feet, period. Nope. Forgot how. You see how silly this sounds when you break things down? But what about the images that the rover is showing us? And again, if you are determined enough, you can do a little digging and you can find out the truth about these images from the rover as well. And all the other images that they put up before you. It's just one of those things that they do all the time, which is lie. And they lie and they lie and they lie and they lie. And then they back up the lie with more lies, and then they bring on experts to tout the lie. Here's Dr. So-and-so, head of nuclear science at the University of Knucklehead. Thanks for being with us, Bob. What can you tell us? And then that will be parroted on other news channels. And then they bring even more people, and then more people, and then more people. And the circle keeps going, and it never stops. It never ends at all. And then what do you see? When you go to your classroom at your university, then they're pushing the same thing. They're pushing the same doctrines. They're reading out of the same scientific Bible, the Bible of Scientism. And they will continue to push these beliefs even after being exposed and debunked. They'll still double down and push them anyway. Even though evolution has already been debunked and redebunked a billion times, they still push that narrative as fact. And it's sad. And now we've created a situation in the United States where people have been so successfully dumbed down that even when you present the truth to them now, their response is hostility. It's crazy when you break it down and you think about it. But anyway, don't let anyone trick you in these markets either, because they'll say, it looks like Credit Suisse is about to default. Looks like Deutsche Bank is about to default. Deutsche Bank should have defaulted 12 years ago when they finally uncovered the LIBOR scandals and the gold and silver riggings and all that. But JP Morgan is still here. Deutsche Bank is still here. Credit Suisse is still here. Bank of America, after all their scandals, they're still here. Let the charts tell you what's about to happen. That's the most important thing I can leave you with today, is don't allow the fear mongering to shake you out of your positions. Because if you would have listened to them, you would be doing all the wrong things at the wrong time for the wrong reasons, and it would be ridiculous. And the results will be catastrophic. So don't do that. Okay, don't do it. Be smart and let the markets tell you what you need to do. That's why we got the pulse waves. That's why. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. All right. So I hope that you got something that you'll take away from this that's positive, and that you will continue to do the right thing, and don't get shook out, because that's what they're trying to do. They want to shake you out. They want to shake you out of the truth and what's real and versus what's fake. They want you to gravitate. They want you to become so beaten down and so exhausted that you'll just give in, because it's easier just to go with the flow. So you'll cave in and you'll just do and say whatever they want you to do and say. You'll just agree. You'll just go along to get along. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be that guy or that gal. All right. So I can't stress it enough. Everything's going to be what it's going to be. But like I've always told you before, really big market moves come without warning. All right. There's no heads up that this event is about to happen. When it happens, it happens. The most organic situations happen, and no one knows why that happened or when and how it happened. It's just happening. All right. That flash crash, May 6, 2010, no one could see that coming. Now, the markets were already moving down, but no one saw that parabolic move coming at the time that it came. It just took everyone by surprise. That's how the markets do. The biggest moves always come in the direction of the prevailing trend, not a counter move. All right. So you don't have to be afraid of that. Now, we did see some phenomenons during the 2020, pandemic. And that's when you saw companies like GameStop that was on their way to bankruptcy, and American Airlines, all of a sudden they go from $40 to $500. But again, that was a pure momentum play. That wasn't people saying, you know what, we've done research and we just had the shareholders meeting and they got this new thing they're coming out with and it looks very promising and amazing and everyone's buying the stock. No, that was all momentum, analogous to stock manipulation. All right. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Reddit thing was really a masking to save those companies. All right. Who's to say that, the Redditors involved in pumping up these stocks, was not contrived and made up? Because I have to say, we've never seen that play before. That has never happened like that. Not even since then has it happened. But that American Airlines and GameStop were the two biggest companies that profited off of that manipulative move. I mean, just think about it. Who benefited from that? All right. Who benefited from that? First of all, the only people who really benefited from that were the people who were in the know that operation was about to happen and go down. The whole stock market didn't rally. I could see if the whole S&P and the NASDAQ were just moving like that. Then you could say, well, hey, it's a market, it's a broad market rally. But no, this rally was limited to these two companies who benefited handsomely off of this. And to me, it was like a litmus test to see that it could be done. And who's to say that it won't be done again also in the future? So it's kind of a de facto way for the Federal Reserve to inject money instead of doing it into the system as a whole. It's a good way to pump liquidity into individual stocks. So instead of bailing out a company with an actual bailout, you just create a Reddit situation, and then you have a bunch of people start buying and propping up the stock, even though there was no fundamental or technical reason to do so. There was no fundamental or technical reason for what happened. The only explanation is market manipulation. Now, normally, if there was a market manipulation like that on that scale, somebody would have went to prison. All right, because it's illegal. Insider trading is illegal, and market manipulation is illegal. All right, people have gone to prison and or been banned from the American securities markets for life for that sort of manipulation. What we saw was analogous to penny stock pump and dumps, and it was allowed to happen, and it was allowed to keep happening, and no one stopped it. So again, you haven't seen that since. And all of a sudden, now it's all quiet because the deed has been done. There's no need to keep doing it. Everyone has left. See what I'm saying? So you got to look at who benefits from these situations. And in this case, we saw exactly who it was that benefited. And it wasn't the American people. It was a few greedy people who manipulated a market, which is supposed to be illegal. So anyway, like I said, they lie about everything, and the people just go with it as a whole. The American people, they don't ask questions. There's no curiosity. They just go with the flow, and they allow just about any and everything to be done to them. And no one speaks up. No one says a word. It's sad. But that's the day and the times that we are living in, folks. So with that being said, once again, I hope you gleaned something from today's talk, and I'm hoping that everyone has a wonderful week. I think we have some extraordinary opportunities here before us, and we'll see if there's anything to this so-called emergency Federal Reserve meeting that the business channels seem to be mum about today. Not even a word about it. All right. With that being said, hit that like button. And remember, bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Peace.